Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome to those of you watching back later. This is our last education call before the summer hits. I'll be checking in a little bit through the summer just to share a little bit of what I've been up to and some of my kind of summer tips for you who are still following the education side of these meetings. But I wanted to finish with a topic that I've just really recently gotten into, which is making your own natural sunscreen. And yeah, I'm super excited to share this presentation with you because it's a real discovery for me. And it's something that I've struggled with the last few years of, using these sunscreens, not really knowing what's in them, and, reading a lot of kind of worrying articles about what these sunscreens contain, the ones that we buy from the high street, and even some of the more natural ones. So I'm really delighted to share with you this recipe that I've been working on personally, and also that I've taken from, I'll just show you the books that I've been working with. One of them is Renegade Beauty by Nadine Artemis, which I've shared with you before. And another one is a book called Whole Beauty by Shiva Rose. And both of these women have some suggestions for natural sunscreens. And then I found a lot online. So I'm going to share with you a little bit about what I've discovered, and how to look after yourself and how to be sun wise and sun safe whilst also protecting your skin, obviously. So here we go. Just going to, oh yeah, there we go. Bear with me 1 second. I'm just going to escape out of this and minimize our... Okay, great. So our skin is designed for sunshine, okay? And wise interaction with the sun presents revitalizing, illuminating nourishment for numerous body functions. So we really do need the sun. Nadine Artemis says the interaction of sun on our skin is our human form of photosynthesis. And we know that the sun gives life, okay? We know that it gives life to all animals, plants, to the earth, and to ourselves. And, some of the kind of alchemy that happens when our body is exposed to the sun is incredible. Activates our immune system, our respiratory system. There's benefits for the digestive and endocrine systems. And so there's a lot of benefits really to be had from being in the sun, but obviously we want to have safe practices of being in the sun. She says that sunlight is a key that unlocks the nourishing energies that sustain our life. So throughout, millennia, throughout our human history, we can see in ancient texts, in ancient scriptures, in statues, in symbolic representations of ancient cultures, we can see that there's been sun worship throughout our human history in ancient Egypt and ancient Rome. On the right there, we have a picture of Doña Maria, who is a wonderful, wise woman and friend who is one of the last remaining Incans or Queros, who are based in Peru, and they worship all the elements and have names, special names for the elements and the spirits of water, the spirits of the mountains, the wind, the earth, the trees. So we really see this elemental worship has gone on throughout our human history. And in Egypt, for example, they worshipped the sun, and it was part of their daily life. In ancient Rome, the inhabitants of ancient Rome actually considered sun exposure so important that they had a legislation, an official legislation, which gave them a right to sunlight, and they built solariums in their homes and terraces in their cities where people could go and sun themselves. Okay, some of the gladiators and Romans, they noted the difference between the bones of an Egyptian and the bones of Persian casualties on the battle sites. And so what they noticed was that the skulls of the Persians who had less exposure to the sun, they were so thin But those of the Egyptians who were always exposed to the sun, the skulls were so tough and so strong that it was hardly possible to break them. So we've seen this kind of sun worship and throughout the years. And many doctors as well have a strong belief in the positive benefits of sun exposure. There are certain doctors who do treatments with sunlight therapy. So, for example, in certain hospitals, they would have roofs that would fold back. So the patients would be in the ward and they would fold back the roof, or they would wheel the patients out into the sunlight so that they could have exposure to sunlight to help them in their healing process. But also in particular because sunlight and our interaction with sunlight develops a kind of bacteria that protects us against infection. And so certain doctors would actually put their patients out into the sun before stitching up a wound or before giving them stitches as an antibacterial or anti-infectious prevention. Okay. There are various Swiss doctors who also, really teach or taught a lot about the benefits of sun, saying that sun is especially important to the bone and ocular development of children. So, many of us coat our children in 50 SPF, and their whole bodies are coated, so no sunlight is actually getting through. But actually sunlight in small doses is important to bone development and the development of their eyes. And they actually say that, whilst many of us use sunglasses, it's also important to not always use sunglasses because our eyes actually take in a lot of sunlight and have the capacity through that alchemy to develop a lot of vitamin D in the body. He says that the sun's healing rays remain ineffective if patients wear sunglasses. Okay. So, it's, lots of very interesting information in this book by Nadine Artemis, and various studies that you can read about the benefits of sunlight. And also, because we have a lot of fear around cancer and the relationship between the sun and sun exposure and cancer. And one of the studies that they found that malignant melanoma is less likely for adults and children who work and play outside, and it's more likely for people who spend all their time indoors working in front of computers and under fluorescent light. So actually we're more likely, according to this particular study, we're more likely to be vulnerable to skin cancer if we never go out in the sun and are constantly indoors exposed to fluorescent lights and artificial lights. So some interesting, things to contemplate there. And here is a list of the ingredients that we find in the kind of high street sun protection creams or sunscreens. Okay. So oxybenzone, polymers of petroleum, parabens, and PABA, which I can't remember what PABA stands for. If I find that somewhere, I'll let you know. But basically, a lot of these chemicals actually inhibit our skin from breathing. They block the skin's cellular respiration process. And inhibit this process of inhaling oxygen and exhaling toxins and carbon dioxide. And likewise, when we put these creams on our body, these chemicals actually bake in the sun. And while oxybenzone is non-carcinogenic in its natural form, when it's actually exposed to the sun, it becomes carcinogenic. And it's a powerful free radical generator. So these ingredients accumulate in the lipid layers, in the skin layers. They increase our intake of free radicals. and damaged DNA. So it's really important to be very wise about what you're choosing to use on your skin, to do your research about what these ingredients are, to look on the labels. And if you're interested in finding other ways of protecting your skin, then plant botanicals are a great option for you. And I'm going to talk a little bit about our diet as well. So vitamin D. Vitamin D, our body is covered with thousands of vitamin D receptors, which are designed as antenna for the sun's rays. Sunlight is a key that unlocks the nourishing energies that sustain our life. Skin is like our solar panel, taking in the sun's energy, and a lack of sunlight actually disturbs normal cellular growth. Okay, so we actually have a vitamin D deficiency here in Spain, and certainly in the UK. And, we have these receptors on our body for a reason. There's a reason why we have all these vitamin D receptors on our body. It's to receive the light of the sun. So we have to find safe ways to do that are going to be nourishing for us, that are not going to damage our skin or make us vulnerable, to certain diseases or illnesses. Okay. So, this is what Nadine Artemis says. She says, our bodies are designed to be exposed to the rays of the sun, and our skin contains all the necessary mechanisms to extract and produce beneficial nutrients from it. Sunlight in the form of UVB rays touching the skin produces beneficial nutrients that our body requires. Our skin converts sunbeams into regenerative substances of melanin, sulfur, and the steroid hormone vitamin D. She says that she thinks of vitamin D as golden drops of sun fluids that we all need internally to be well oiled. Okay, the best time of day to get out and play in the sun is from the morning to solar noon, and that solar noon is going to vary according to our geography. Okay, our skin's exposure to sun produces two types of essential sulfur: cholesterol sulfate and vitamin D3 sulfate. Sulfur, cholesterol, and the vitamin D produced in our skin from sun exposure are necessary for optimal cellular health, and they also, they protect us from radiation damage. Vitamin D sulfate is water soluble and moves freely in the bloodstream, providing a healthy barrier against bacteria. And it's a crucial part of the barrier that keeps out harmful bacteria and other microorganisms such as fungi. Nearly 75% of adults and teenagers are vitamin D deficient and have been this is in North America, for over two decades. Okay, and vitamin D is designed to course through the body and facilitate various body functions. It repairs organs. It boosts our immune function, lowers insulin levels, reduces blood pressure, boosts neuromuscular functioning, and interacts with more than 2,000 genes. Okay, so there's a lot of benefits from vitamin D in the body, and finding ways to receive that vitamin D from the sun. But obviously we want to be protected, okay? And so one of the things that we can do is really work to protect our skin in different ways. So one of the ways is by choosing what we put on our skin. So the integrity of our skin's outer layer is damaged by surfactants, scrubs, chemical peels, and synthetic moisturizers. So all of these, if you like, luxurious chemical peels, the face masks that we put on our skin that literally rip the top layer off, all those scrubs with micro beads in them, synthetic moisturizers, even we could say some of our washing up liquids, the things we use to wash our clothes, all of those things, those chemicals are interacting with our skin and actually making it very vulnerable. vulnerable to allergies, vulnerable to infections, vulnerable to sensitivities. So one thing we can do to protect our skin is wash and moisturize the skin using only botanical, as in plant-based serums, as well as gently dry brushing. And these will help to regenerate the top layer of the skin and support collagen. So using our essential oils, for example, on our skin, we can use our lemon oil at night with a dilution on a cotton pad to cleanse our skin. So what I tend to do is I just use a cotton pad. I put 3 or 4 drops of lemon oil, and then I put 3 or 4 drops of coconut oil, fractionated coconut oil, and I just rub that over my skin. And that's going to cleanse. It's going to be very cleansing. You can use melaleuca, you can use lavender, you can use lemon. That's going to be really cleansing and get off any kind of dirt or bacteria. It's also going to remove makeup, okay? So those of you that are using makeup as well, that's a great way to cleanse. You don't need to be scrubbing your skin, raw. And then dry brushing before you get into the shower. Dry brushing your skin towards the heart. So we've been through this again, a while back. From the feet upwards towards the heart and from the neck downwards towards the heart. You can use a gentle brush, just a dry brush that will stimulate the skin and help to regenerate the top layer. And then also foods, eating sun harmonizing foods so that we can strengthen the skin from inside out. So skin cells must be strengthened and nourished internally with real food and water to receive the full blessing of interacting with the sun. Sun-ripened foods are also far more nutritious. So when we say sun-ripened, we could think of tomatoes, we can think of watermelon, olives, all of these fruits and sun-ripened foods that will help to create actually a natural SPF with an antioxidant-rich rainbow diet. So lots of different colors in your diet. Okay, so you can think of different fats, different herbs, superpower foods. She suggests tomatoes because they're rich in antioxidants. Watermelon, green tea, turmeric, leafy greens, and lots of berries. And also very thankfully, chocolate is included in that list, but good chocolate, raw chocolate. It says here that pure, unprocessed, and unadulterated chocolate has 4 times the amount of phenols and catechins, I think you said it like that, as teas. These compounds protect the skin against sunburn. Okay? Many of the skin issues that are called sun damage are really the result of modern malnutrition. The recipe for wrinkles and dark spots is our current standard diet of processed food produced in the shadows of pesticides and factory farming. The trans fats, formaldehyde, derivatives, color and flavor additives, and fluoride commonly found in our foods create reactions in the body that trigger collagen breakdown, inflammation, age spots, and hyperpigmentation. So all of these things are increasing our sensitivity to sun, as well as oral contraceptives, antibiotics, diet soda, coffee, and different medications, chlorine as well in the swimming pools. All of this is contributing to the malnutrition or a less healthy skin. And obviously we want our skin to be super healthy and strong whilst we're in the sun. So yeah, she says, this is a nice quote here. A person has to be like a flower, open to the sun in order to take in its energy. Only this is capable of bringing the flower to fruition. The mind of a person has to turn to the sunlight. If a person takes in the sunlight, life unfolds correctly on its own. So she suggests that we start slowly but surely. So in the winter, still trying to get, 5-10 minutes of sunlight every day, and building up towards the summertime. Far more effective than sunscreen is rebuilding your body's melanin base that further enhances the health of many body systems. Okay? So, getting onto our recipe here, this is a recipe that I've recently tried out myself. And you've got 3 different categories here. You've got the moisturizers, which is your jojoba or jojoba oil, the beeswax and shea butter. You've also got essential oils. On the other side, you've got the sandalwood, helichrysum, and lavender. And then you've got oils which have a natural sun protection in them. And these oils are, they're for moisturizing. They're not essential oils, okay? So you've got raspberry seed oil, sea buckthorn oil, coconut oil, the one that you use for cooking, and then zinc oxide, which comes in a powder. In Spain, I've bought these ingredients from, as you can see below here, there are 2 websites. In Spain, I bought them from Cremas Caseras. Obviously not the essential oils, they're from doTERRA. But Cremas Caseras .es, they have all the other ingredients that we need. I had a quick look on the internet for a UK site, and the one I've put there below, enaissance or enaissance.co.uk, is a UK site where you can buy the majority of these ingredients. The only thing I couldn't find on there was the zinc oxide, and you can get a lot of them organic. So the raspberry seed oil is organic, the sea buckthorn oil is organic, the jojoba oil is organic. But again, I haven't tried those ones, so you need to do a little bit of investigating yourself to see if they are of a good quality. And also you want to get unrefined, okay? So don't get refined oils. Refined means that they've been heated and potentially burnt, okay? So they're cheaper, but they're not going to be as beneficial, and potentially they'll be toxic to the body, okay? So these are the ingredients that I've used in the sun screen recipe. That should say method, not metodo. So the first stage, we're going to melt the ingredients that are slightly more solid. So the shea butter, coconut oil, and the beeswax. And you want to melt more or less this quantity. So as a solid substance, it's difficult to know whether it's 100 milliliters or 50 ml. So you just need to melt it bit by bit until you get these quantities. And I melted it in a glass bowl over a bowl of water, a saucepan of water. So a baño María, we call it in Spain, or a double boiler. Do it over a low heat, okay? And then the next step is adding the oils that are already in liquid form. So you've got the jojoba, the sea buckthorn, and the raspberry seed oil. You're going to add those into the mixture and just keep it on a very low heat until that whole mixture is completely mixed and dissolved and, thoroughly integrated. And then you're going to take it off the heat, okay? Because the next step is adding the zinc oxide and our essential oils. And we know that with our essential oils, we don't ever want to add them into very hot temperatures because that will change their chemistry. So the zinc oxide, this is a rough measurement, okay? And this is more or less going to create to 20 to 25 SPF, okay? If you want more, you add more zinc. The zinc is what's going to block out the sun, okay? The other ingredients have some natural sun protection in them. They're going to be harmonizing to your skin. They're going to harmonize your skin with the sun, but they're not going to block out the sun. Okay, so the zinc is really one of the kind of key ingredients, and you're going to mix in, that's what's going to turn it white. So you know when you put on a sunscreen and it has that white kind of creamy consistency, that's what the zinc is doing. So you want to stir all of those in, and I've suggested 20 drops of sandalwood and 20 drops of helichrysum because both of those are also very sun harmonizing, very beneficial to the skin. And then lavender is going to protect against burns. And if you do get burned, it's going to be very soothing for the skin. And the zinc this is going to make a roughly around 300 milliliters, okay, in total. a 300 milliliter bottle, which, you know, is a good quantity for the whole family, or for a couple of people throughout the whole summer, you know. And the zinc can sometimes, because it's a powder, it can sometimes stay a bit lumpy. It can get a bit lumpy in the mixture. So actually I used a hand blender to make sure that it's all mixed in properly. And the other thing about zinc is that you just want to be careful that you don't breathe it in. It comes in a powder. It's absolutely safe once it's mixed into the mixture, but you don't want to inhale it pure in its powder form. So just, you know, stand at arm's distance away from the mixture while you're pouring it in, and just take care when you're mixing it in. Okay, we use zinc in a lot of products. It is natural, but it's in this particular case, we want to make sure that it's fully mixed into the liquid, into the cream, before applying it onto our skin. Okay, and then my suggestion would be to store it in a container that is not transparent, either a plastic, you know, an old plastic that fit, you know, like an old sun cream bottle, you know, that it's kind of safe plastic and it's thick, and it's not like a plastic bottle, a drinking bottle or anything like that. It's like a good quality plastic bottle, or a glass container, a glass bottle that is tinted. It's not completely transparent, to protect the cream and the mixture from the sun. Okay, you're going to apply this regularly, just as you would any other cream. So for me, in my case, it's like every hour and a half, pretty much, or, you know, as soon as I come out of the swimming pool or out of the sea. And try it out. You know, if you feel that you need more protection, you can just add a little bit more zinc, okay, into the mix. But, you know, everyone is different, and everybody's skin obviously has had different types of exposure. Has different types of allergies or sensitivities, or has different levels of damage. So this is something to try little by little. Don't use it and then go out for a whole day, spend the whole day at the beach, you know, on the first attempt. Just build up slowly with this until you figure out the right amount of zinc to use. Are there any questions? So the last thing I wanted to share was just a very simple insect repellent mixture or recipe. And there are tons of essential oils that are super useful and effective for repelling mosquitoes and insects. I've put a list here of a few, but there are more, okay? And if any of you have the Modern Essentials book, you can look in that book and you'll see there's a whole list of different essential oils that are useful for to use against insects. And the method is super simple. You can put up to 20 drops, 15 to 20 drops in a 30 milliliter spray bottle, okay, so a small spray bottle, and then top up the rest with fractionated coconut oil. And that's it. And you can use a mixture of any of the oils that you can see here on the left, or you can just use one or two, or you can use all 9 of them. So all of them are going to have a great, going to support you in, especially if you are a magnet for insects and mosquitoes, and very nourishing to the skin. You know, cedarwood is wonderful for the skin. Arbor vitae is wonderful. Geranium. Obviously, the smell as well is going to be beneficial on an emotional level. Basil is great for the adrenals. Lemongrass is going to support you with cholesterol and high blood pressure. So, you know, you're going to be having a full-on health treatment as you're using this insect repellent. So that is the end of that presentation. Are there any questions before we move on to the next part of the call? Any questions about quantities of ingredients or where to get them from? All right. Yeah, Elle?
Hiya, I just want to say sorry for the late show.
That's all right.
It looks wonderful, and I'm going to definitely be making this, because I
Yeah.
often think about the amount of toxins that are in just regular shop bought sun cream.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
So there
definitely.
are also a lot of hormone disruptors in them as well. So we want to be really careful about what we use.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this was so interesting. I just never knew like how much the sun actually benefit. Like I just didn't realise how much it helps. Anyway, there you go. I just thought it was amazing, Tara. Good chat there. Good chat.
Yeah, yeah, it is. I mean, obviously, the sun is our source of life. You know, without the sun, none of us would be here. You know, it's our source of solar power and light and life, and we need it, and the plants need it to produce oxygen, and we need it, and so, but we just have developed a lot of fear around sunlight, and obviously, we need to be careful and safe. But a lot of that fear is an illness and damage has come because of what's actually going on inside of us as well, and the malnutrition and the vulnerability of our skin because of our bad diets, because of our bad self-care practices and regimes. So yeah, it's very interesting when you read into it. I really recommend this book, Renegade Beauty, Nadine Artemis. A lot of this information I've taken from here. And she, you know, she refers to lots of different studies as well. So those of you that like to, you know, go a bit more into the science and get that science back up, you can find the references in here as well. Okay. Alrighty, so I'm going to stop the recording here and we'll move on to our business training. So we'll say goodbye to those of us who are leaving us here.